Peace, love, and light to all the viewers. Quick disclaimer, my content, videos, and information is strictly for educational purposes only. Can't stress enough for you guys to do your own research. Um, None of us have been alive long enough to know all that transpired in the past, and none of us can live long enough to learn all there is to learn. All right, now that that's out the way, decided to do another video, man. Based off of a couple things, mainly a book by the name of The Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs. If you know, you know. Couple things, man, that I came across that caught my attention and compelled me to want to share it. First thing I want to touch on is the fact that energy can never be destroyed, only transformed. So, that's been scientifically proven. And that leads me to the first thing that I came across that kind of like struck me. And it's basically like a definition that was given of rebirth in said book. It states that rebirth is the knowledge of our own immortality. And personally, the reason why it struck me is what I'm about to get into. Again, anybody that's been watching, you know that I went through Christianity, Islam, more science, and all that. And a lot of times, man, I reflect on, when certain people get to speaking about being born again, and they attribute being born again to a process of, declaring something verbally and having water pouring, over them, or being, submerged in water, regardless of whatever type. Having gone through an inner transformation myself, kind of makes sense to me why that stuff never resonated with me, and didn't know at the time, but now I know and realize, why that stuff, number one, never resonated, and it was kind of like insulting to me on one degree or another without me actually knowing at the time why. But, the process of being reborn, it's a lot more extensive and complex than just, an utterance of word and a submerging of oneself in, liquid. It's a lot more than that, a whole lot more than that. There's ups and downs, there's emotion, there are trials and tribulations, just a lot of, turmoil, to one degree or another, man, that necessitates, you know, aside from the willingness to initiate those changes, for the betterment of oneself, that go into, that inner transformation that people refer to as a rebirth or being born again. The reason why the definition in this book made so much sense to me is when you look at, if you do your research on the energy piece and how energy never dies, it's only transformed or, transferred, you know. Um, that kind of like explains it on a simplified, in a simplified version, you know. But it's dealing with the soul. The spirit and the soul are two different things. Spirit is like relative to having to the light body that is able to what's the word? What's the phrase? Astral project. It's the actual part of yourself that you experience dreams with. It leaves the body and comes back. And depending on how much you know about that process, you can actually, intentionally become lucid in your dreams and kind of like, direct what goes on and what takes place. Well, you can have a hand in navigating, in your dream, and you can also learn to interpret, your dreams, sometimes with the help of books and sometimes without a book, because you have, brain waves and, all kinds of energetic frequencies in the ethers, and some of us are more, are sensitive enough or more sensitive than others, whereby we can tap in and, deal with those brain waves and frequencies, again, when it comes down to reality, truth is stranger than fiction. This would explain why those that are in power, they kind of like filter the information. They give the masses, what they want the masses to know while they deal with the facts, and the actual science, as it relates to, the biology, the physiology, the quantum physics, the, astrology, astronomy, cosmology, and so on and so forth, etc. This is what they dealing with because that's where, right knowledge resides, not this bullshit, that That's why, like, man, if you really able to pick up on the esoteric symbolism and the metaphysical symbolism in movies like The Matrix, other films such as Alice in Wonderland, The Wizard of Oz. All these things have, a deeper symbolic meaning to those of us, who can see, you know, um, beyond the illusions, you know. But getting back to rebirth, man, like, it's a process, man. It's definitely a process. It's highly unlikely, know, um, highly unlikely that you can go through a spiritual transformation or an internal transformation, with just the utterance of word, especially since we've been disconnected from, we've been disconnected from our cultural uh, practices and rituals, and actually it was outlawed, you know. And this is why I always make mention of the fact that none of us had lived long enough to know everything that transpired yesterday or in the past. You know, it's funny to me sometimes, man, how I run across individuals, man, that just, they feel as though their cup of knowledge is full, and there's so much that, they just not aware of, and even myself, man, like with the limited amount of reading and research and study that I've done. Man, listen, I'm intelligent enough to know that, it's like a drop of water into an ocean, you know, and the ocean being symbolic of knowledge. You ain't gonna never see me walk around with my chest poked out, regardless of how much I end up, knowledge I may end up acquiring or attaining. It's just, I just, like, my thing is just to be instrumental in bringing about in a certain level of awareness, you know, um, because it's like different entities and structures and corporations and whatnot. They spend so many millions of dollars, man. All you gotta do is look at TV. How many of us have been to jail for selling, drugs, regardless, or anything dealing with that type of lifestyle, and it mainly revolves around survival, you know. But look at TV. Look at these commercials, man. Even like if you don't look at TV, you look at any of the social media platforms. You know, all these, they call them cookies, I guess. Where they have all these different infomercials, and they basically out there panhandling. It ain't no different. Like, the World Wide Web. Okay, I mentioned once before. I wonder who the spider is. That's an analogy, but it's true to life. Think about that. Uh, you know, it's so multifaceted and layered. But it's like I compare the web to like the block. All these infomercials where they out there panhandling and soliciting, people for, whatever. You know what I mean? Their drugs, the shit that they creating in these laboratories that give you more side effects than the ones they supposedly curing, and they never cure nothing. That's why you always got to refill your prescription. You know what I mean? But that's another video for another time. Hundreds of years ago, man, people have came up with every cure known to man from herbs, from Mother Gaia, from the earth. And here we are now, and so many of us, man, that have just, hook, line, and sinker, man. We caught all the way up. We bought all the way into, what was being told and taught to us, by, the same individuals that, basically rape us on a daily basis, man. Look at all these codes. Again, I did a video just not long ago about law and how these corporate codes and what have you. You hear it all the time. Penal code. It's not a law. It's all basically built around commerce, man. That's why you have the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC codes. And that book, man, is like this thick. Everything that goes on in society, everything you can think about in society is in that book. And it's all, relevant to commerce. It's also why they have the foreign exchange. Why all the the countries and all the land masses globally deal with the same money system. Again, in my opinion, that's why they killed Muammar Gaddafi. You already know what he was about to do. That World Bank funded with the resources under Africa, the most minerally rich continent on the globe. It's just so many things, man, that if a person's using, practical measures, to make decisions on information that, they have tangible to them, I find it impossible to believe the bullshit, that they feeding us. Just like with the United States, man. Corporations have presidents, nations don't. So what does that tell you? But I don't want to get too far off subject, man. I want to get back to, the reason and purpose for this video. Rebirth, man. It revolves around this is what I choose to, deal with as it relates to a definition. It's the knowledge of our own immortality, man. We were all souls first before, taking on this body. There were soul contracts we all entered into and agreed to do. And, if you never unplug from what they refer to as the Matrix, with good reason, they label it the Matrix with good reason, then you'll never approach learning or finding out what your life's purpose is, because it ain't revolving around this fucking these Federal Reserve notes, these debt notes, that it ain't nothing tangible besides us, and that's evident, if you do your research on the birth certificate, we actually the currency, and they enslave our energy, our time and energy. This is why, like, you know, I mean, be honest with you, I always had an issue once I became consciously aware of trading my time and energy for the bullshit money. You know, yeah, that ain't it for me. You know what I mean? The whole time somebody else's legacy is being furthered and broadened and extended, while I ain't I ain't getting no closer to building and erecting my own. You know. Then on top of that, all the nut shit you got to go through with the same people that look like you, tap dancing and lollygagging all Joe familiar ass, tap dancing and laughing at other motherfuckers' jokes. Yeah, that ain't even funny. You know what I mean? And you see it, they one way with y'all. They one way with people that look like them. When they get around them other folk, it's a whole nother song and dance. You know what I mean? And if you think I'm talking about you, yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah, so I don't care nothing about you seeing the video. I mean, you already, it is what it is. The truth owes no apologies or no explanations, man. But the other thing, not to get off into, nothing low vibrational, because that ain't my twist. I'm just saying the truth is what it is. And if the shoe fit, then goddamn it, you ain't got no choice but to have it on your feet. The other thing that struck me in the Hermetica is another phrase, and I'm going to read that. The phrase goes as follows: an enlightened being no longer believes he or she is a body. The body belongs to nature, not to him or her. And so its fate is of no importance. Now, see, I can already hear some people saying, what the fuck is he talking about? Man, shit. Whatever. You know what I mean? But see, again, if you have yet to go through that rebirth, or that what they call being born again, that actual process taking place, if you ain't been through that, or even for those, from my Muslim brothers and sisters, that inner jihad, if you haven't, went within and dealt with that, because a lot of times, we just as people are preoccupied with that outer appearance, that outer presentation, what others can see. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this presentation is everything. I believe in, presenting yourself in a certain manner, because the way you present yourself is the way people going to deal with you. But one thing about it is, what's inside you is never going to cease to find its way to your external. Teddy Pendergrass, back in the